Good day, students. Hope you are all good. In the previous video, we have seen about object-oriented concepts, right? Implementing object-oriented constructs, right? Design issues in object-oriented programming, and about object-oriented programming system, right? Now we are going to see about concurrency and semaphores in this class. This comes under unit 3. Okay. So first we need to know about Java threads. In the previous class itself, I already told that we need a thread to increase the efficiency of the program. Threads allows a program to operate more efficiently by doing multiple things at the same time. Okay, you can do multiple operations by using the concept called threads. So this outperforms the complications of the tasks which needs to work in the background, and it work without interrupting the main program itself. You are doing a PPT or you are working in MS Office. Simultaneously you can hear to music. That's called multitasking. An application is running and you are opening another application in the same system, then it is said to be multitasking. Multitasking is different from multi-threading. Okay, so these threads are very helpful to increase the performance of the application. So if you are doing thread in the program, the overall efficiency will be good. We will look into the multitasking and multi-threading in later of this video. Status of the thread. While we are starting the thread, it can move directly to the stop. Otherwise, it can move to runnable. Okay, ready. That's called runnable. And processing. That's called running. Some issues being happened, sleep, suspend, wait, it will be blocked. After that, it can go to stop. Otherwise, after the completion of the process, it can go to stop. If a running process is blocked, it can also get resumed. If the runnable is blocked, it moves to this state. Runnable thread can come to running and it can go to blocked, then it can come to runnable state again. Sometimes directly the thread can move from running to runnable. That is called ready state. This is blocked state. After this, it can directly go to stop because it cannot access the desired resources on time. So it gets stopped. After that, it places a new thread to perform the desired task. So these are the states of thread. Start, runnable, running, blocked, stop. There are 5 states, right? So multi-threading, already we have seen about multi-threading, multiple threads of execution inside the same application. Okay, multiple threads of execution inside the same application. Multitasking means doing different tasks in our operating system. In that application, okay, you are doing something, okay, you are copy and paste something from Notepad to WordPad or WordPad to MS Office, Excel sheet, right? Any other thing you can take. Your copy, right? You are using Control C. So what it does is it just copying the content. The selected content will be copied. After you are giving Control V, the selected content, the chosen content is copied to some other place. In that, copy paste is just a one operation, but a thread is initiated at Control C. A thread is created after the copied content moved to the internal memory part, and another thread is used to move the internal memory content to the monitor. Then the system creates new threads according to the different position to complete that task. Just Control C and Control V, copy paste. For this there can be tens of threads inside that application. Thus a multi-threaded application is like an application that has multiple CPUs executing different parts of the code at the same time. Okay, if you are having an application, a certain part will work under a thread and another part of the same program will run with another thread. So at the same time, different parts of the code can be executed. So it acts like multiple CPUs, right? So this is a simple example for multi-threaded application, right? In an application there can be two or more threads, so that's called said to be multi-threading. So why we need to use multi-threading? We can use the CPU in a better way, as well as we can use multiple CPUs and multiple cores of CPU in a better way. The user experience will be improvised regarding the responsiveness. You are moving a cursor, you are using a Control C or Control V, you are doing some events. These events are handled by the multi-threading concept. And the last, fairness. The content needs to be same. Say for an example, you are using Control C for the desired word, while you are pasting, the content is differ. So there is no fairness in the process. If a thread is working and it moves to running or runnable state, it needs to be completed. If it works unambiguous or it works in an inefficient way, there will be no fairness. So this multi-threading provides more fairness. So the user experience will get better. So multi-threading versus multitasking. So multi-threading means, I am repeating again and again this concept because this is very important. Multi-threading means a task completed by different threads. A task completed by many number of threads. And Java is a multi-threaded programming language. So we can develop multi-threaded programming very easily inside Java language. multitasking, two or more tasks performed at same time. So we can use the word concurrency, right? Concurrency rather than multi-threading. Okay, so this is same thing. So we can use the word concurrency rather than using multi-threading. So that's why we are seeing multi-threading in spite of seeing concurrency all the time, but the concurrency is same. Okay, the name only differs. The first Java concurrency model assumed that multiple threads executing within the same application would also share objects. So in the same application, the objects are shared. Okay, it referred to shared state concurrency model. The states are shared in this model. In the previous video, I have told you about shared state. Okay, if you are sharing the state, there might be problem. The same problem arises in concurrency model 2. Deadlock, starvation and fairness, false sharing. Deadlock means a thread is waiting indefinitely. Okay, a thread is waiting for indefinite of time and the process is not done properly, or the thread is not handled properly, then it is said to be deadlock. You cannot move further. The next one is starvation and fairness. Starvation means similar to deadlock, but here the time moves on. Okay, the time moves on. The thread is waiting for a period of time and it closes itself. That's called starvation. Without eating food, that's called starvation. So without getting the shared data, that's called starvation in concurrency problem. Fairness. So some threads will get benefited at the earliest time and some threads wait for so much of time. So the fairness is missing. The last one is false sharing. By sharing the objects, some intruders can get into our system and they can access our data without our notice, or anyone can get the data inside the same application. Then it is said to be false sharing. Sharing without knowledge or getting the knowledge without proper way, right? That's called false sharing. Alternate model. So there are a lot of errors in the previous one. So they come up with a new idea called shared nothing or separate state, and it gained more popularity than the previous one. In the separate state concurrency model, the threads do not share any objects or data. So in this concurrency model, the threads never ever share any objects or data. So this avoids a lot of concurrent access problems of the shared state concurrency model. So obviously it have to be less problematic when compared to the previous one. So the next one is semaphore. A semaphore controls access to a shared resource through the use of a counter. So, semaphore reduces the concurrency problem. So, it almost stops the concurrency problem. You can take an example. A thread is waiting for indefinite time. A thread is waiting for long time. So we can use semaphore at that place. Otherwise, we can use aging concept. So we will maintain a table so that it can tell this process is waiting for more than this hour. So kindly consider as a next one. So these contents are controlled. Okay. So by the semaphores, a semaphore controls access to a shared resource through the use of a counter. If there is 5, semaphore allocates 5 threads. Okay, if the counter is less than 0 or 0, it won't allow any threads to process. If it's greater than 0, then access is allowed. Okay, very easy concept. Semaphores reduces the problem which is discussed in the earlier PowerPoint slide. So these semaphores controls access to a shared resource through the use of counter. A counter is maintained, nothing else, right? A counter is maintained and that counter is constantly providing the access to the object or the data for the thread. Okay. Working of semaphore. In general, to use a semaphore, the thread that wants access to the shared resource tries to acquire a permit. So before accessing the content inside the class, okay, first the threads needs to get the permission to access it. If the semaphore's count is greater than 0, then the thread acquires a permit which causes the semaphore's count to be decremented. Okay, if the semaphore's count is greater than 0, okay, greater than 0, what it happens, what it does, it allocates, it gives permission and the count is get decremented by 1. If the semaphore becomes 0, no new threads will get allocated. So obviously, when the thread no longer needs an access to that particular shared resource, it releases the permit which causes semaphore's count to be incremented. When allocating, it's getting decremented. When releasing, it gets incremented, right? The count gets decremented while allocating. While deallocating, the count is incremented. If there is another thread waiting for a permit, then that thread will acquire a permit at that time. Okay. If there is another thread waiting for a permit, then that thread will acquire a permit at that time. So, if some threads are waiting to get the permit, it can access only after the acquisition, right, or acquisition of that permit. Without that permit, any threads cannot access the class or its data. Java provides semaphore class in java.util.current package, and it eventually implements this mechanism. So we don't have to implement our own semaphores. So we don't have to create our own semaphores. We can use the existing package called java.util.concurrent. So this is flow of the semaphores. Setting up semaphore with the initial value of count. So if it is 0, okay, it will go no, thread blocked waiting for next permit. So it moves on and it goes to the waiting process. Okay, so the thread tries to acquire permit some.acquire, that's the keyword, right? So after using this word, count is verified. If it's been yes, it moves to semaphore provide access to shared resource to the thread. Semaphore provide access to shared resource to the thread. The thread now can access inside that class which is provided by semaphores. Thread release the permit sem.release, right? The count will be incremented. Okay, so with this we can wind up this class, but before that we need to look into few programming, right? So public class main extends thread public static void main string args main thread equal to new main. So new is a keyword, thread is a object, here it's a function, and here it's a class. So a object is created for the class. Okay, so that's a new one for the main class. The main class is extended by the thread concept. Thread.start system.out.println system.out.println. This code is outside of the thread, and while running the program it shows this code is running inside the thread. Okay, we will change to inside a thread. So if you are going to 3 schools, you can enjoy the benefit of what you call without using any programming applications, right? You can learn. So this code is outside of the thread, this code is running inside a thread. We are not doing much. We are creating a class and it can be accessed through different states. One is outside of the thread and another one is inside the thread. So here we are starting the thread.start object function. Okay, system.out.println, this code is outside of the thread, and here we are telling like this is inside the thread. We are creating an object for the class and we are starting up it, and we are printing the existing code of the statement, code of the program, and after that inside the run function the code is running inside a thread is shown. Okay, you can use this link, or I shared the link with a PPT, you can refer it later. So this is simple one. Okay, this is the simplest one. Implement syntax as same as the previous one, but here what it refers is it's a what? It's a inheritance. Okay, inheritance implements. Okay, I think implements. Okay, implements means interface. Extends means I think interface and what do you call that? Inheritance, right? Interface, inheritance and interface, right? Inheritance keyword in Java, right? Inheritance is extended and we use implements for interface. Okay, so you can remember implement interface, extend inheritance, okay, here okay, extends inheritance, implements interface. This is another simple thread concept using runnable and run. Okay, here we are using start. So after completing this program, we can wind up this video. Okay, we need to look into the codes from the public static void main. Okay, not from the beginning of the program, but you can look into the preprocessor statement, and we are using java.util.concurrent.star. That means we are accessing all the functionalities under the concurrent method. Okay, so here we can see the class name is semaphore demo. Inside the main function, we are creating an object for the semaphore with a value 1 as parameter, and we are creating two threads with the value of the object as well as the character A, and the next one is B for the another thread called empty2, and we are starting both the threads and we are making wait to access their part of the time. Okay, so at the last we are printing the shared count. So here you can see shared count. Okay, shared is declared at above. It's a class and we are calling the count variable using this class shared dot count. Okay, we are making everything as 0 while completing the multi-threading process. Okay, after completing all the threads, it needs to be 0. Then only a new thread won't be allocated for the particular task or program. So we are creating method as a class which extends thread, extends implementation. Interface, right? Inheritance. Interface gets implements. Inheritance uses extends, right? Make sure that you are remembering these words. Inheritance interface, inheritance extends, interface implements, right? So semaphore sum, we are creating an object for semaphore and we are using thread name as a string. Now we are defining a function named myThread, semaphore sum comma string thread name. Thread name is passed over here and the sum value is passed over here. Super thread name. Okay, and after that this dot sum, we are representing this. Okay, this we are pointing. This dot sum equal to sum. This dot thread name equal to thread name. Okay, so we are allocating values to the new variables, and after that we are overriding the run method, which displays nothing but if the name equals to A, then the system is started and it shows thread name. So for a few milliseconds the particular thread will be waiting for getting the permission. So after getting the permission, it provides log sum.acquire, right? System.out.println thread name plus gets a permit. So here we are giving the permission. Officially we are telling, okay, this thread got permission from me. Okay, so in the try option only each and everything is working, so that if there is any problem, exception will be handled, and that exception is need to be taught in the later section of the unit 3. So for loop, and after that we are going for the catch option. So for int I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, we are incrementing. So obviously in the next phase we will decrement the content and we will make sure that the shared dot count equal to 0 at any cost. Okay, so this is one of the simple program to illustrate the semaphore concept. Okay, the file name is semaphore demo. If we execute the program, it looks like this. Starting A thread and A is waiting for a permit. A gets permit, starting B, and B is waiting for a permit. A is working on, and then A releases the permit. Now B gets the permit and B is working on, and B releases the permit. Now count become 0, right? So that it won't work again. Okay, so this is the program which we have seen earlier. So in this way each and every thread gets their own time to execute without any issues. So whenever you get free time, go through this program as well as go through each and every links which I have been shared from the first class to now, as well as you can ask any doubts from any classes with me, right? You can to me. So if any doubt arises, you can just communicate through my mail Kanagaraj, kanagaraj.n.in@IEEE.org. IEEE.org. Okay. So keep on remembering my mail ID. You can communicate with my mail ID so that I can improvise my quality of teaching. So that's it for us for today. See you in the next video. Bye and safe night too.